Добре дојдовте во уште еден лавиринт. Јас сум Кристина Атовска. Овој лавиринт ќе го посветиме, како што најавив и предходниот, на цивилите, односно на семејствата кои што имаат своји киднапирани најблиски од страна на Хамас на кобниот 7 октомври. Денеска ќе разговарам со Idit Ohel, мајка на 23 годишно момче, 22 во моментот на киднапирање, кој беше киднапиран од музичкиот фестивал Нова, кога се случи тој страшен напад кој што го изврши Хамас. Повеќе од 6 месеци, веќе 7 месец, е почнат како оваа мајка не знае апсолутно ништо за тоа што се случува со нејзиното дете. Од моментот од како беше одведен, односно земан од борците на Хамас, киднапиран од нив, е однесен некаде во тунелите под Газа и се уште не можат да стапат во никаков контакт, ниту пак да добијат било каква информација поврзана со животот и здравието на младиот Алон. Инаку Алон во моментот на киднапирање имал 22 години, во февруари годинава наполнил 23, додека се уште е во заложништво. Инаку Алон има и двојно, односно и српско државјанство. Неговата мајка Идит вели дека на почетокот кога се случи цел овој напад, тие се активирале, побарале помош дури и од Србија и тие да се вклучат во преговорите за ослободување на незиниот син. Има уште повеќе, не е ниту единствен киднапирано, не единствено киднапирано лице од Хамас. Во моментов се верува дека уште 129 заложници држи Хамас од нападот од 7 октомври, од кои се верува дека 95 се живи. Останатите кои биле киднапирани, а ослободени, Идит Ohel вели дека не биле на исто место со нејзиниот син, па токму затоа ниту од нив не може да добие информација за тоа во каква здравствена состојба се наоѓа нејзиното дете. Ова е уште едно од оние тешки интервјуа кога се работи за страшни работи кои им се случуваат на недолжни цивили. Ms. Ohel, thank you very much for accepting this interview. I know it must be very difficult for you to do this and to talk with journalists about your son all the time. Your son was kidnapped at the Nova Music Festival, the first day of the war, basically. He was one of the more than 250 kidnapped people in total, but he was kidnapped from the music festival, and he is only 23 years old, if I'm not wrong. So can you tell me about the first moment you find out that this is happening? What was your reaction? Could you believe that this is happening, that this is true?
No. I couldn't believe that. Alon, a month and a half before he was kidnapped, just got back from traveling all over Asia. He was, trying to find new cultures and see the world. And he came back and he told me that he wanted to go to this festival, the Nova Festival. I was happy for him. It was a time where he can get in touch with his friends and be there together with them. When this all started, we were at home. We didn't know something was wrong. We just thought it was rockets because, in the south, there's many rockets sometimes. We weren't very anxious. We thought it was going to go over soon. And when we didn't get in touch with him, he actually sent us a message around 8 o'clock in the morning saying that he was in a bomb shelter and that he was fine. And after that, we tried to call him many hours during the whole day through the 7th of October, and we didn't get to him. and we started to be very worried about that. We called many times. Finally, this man answered saying that he was on the way to Soroka Hospital, and that he took some of the people that were injured into the hospital, but Alon wasn't there. His phone was fell off when he was kidnapped. There is actually the Hamas took a video of the kidnapping, so we can see that he was kidnapped from Re'im bomb shelter that he was in with other 29 other people like him, his group age. And he was sadly, two of his friends were murdered. Two of his friends were injured to tell about what happened, and four were taken hostage, and all the rest of the 29 were murdered at that bomb shelter.
So your son, as I mentioned, Alon was very young, only 23 years old.
Actually, Alon was 22 when he was kidnapped. He had his birthday on the 10th of February, so he was 23 just now, just like 2 months ago. Yeah, but now he's only 20. Yeah, he's 23. He's young. He has his whole life ahead of him, definitely. Alon is also a Serbian citizen, which is, we are very in touch with the Serbian government. President Vučić is doing a lot, trying to help and find ways to get this over with. So we really appreciate the government in Serbia.
Let's explain a little bit. You're Israeli, but your son has a Serbian citizenship, and
yeah, it's a dual citizenship. Yeah, Israeli Serbian. Mm-hmm.
And you contacted the Serbian government, or they contacted you when this happened?
No, I contact them because when he was kidnapped, they needed to know that he was kidnapped, and just as it happened, like a day after, I called them and I said I need help, and the government was very they had to do a lot for that, to make sure that he was all right, what's going on, he was kidnapped alive, Alon, but I haven't heard from him since, but they needed to know what's going on, that make sure that Alon was kidnapped. It took us about 2 weeks for the Israeli government or the IDF to say that Alon was kidnapped officially. So it was, it was very hectic the first, 2 weeks to find what's going on, where he was taken, not taken. We didn't know. It took us about, about 2 weeks to understand fully the effects of what happened.
And can you tell us something more about him? We know that he was a pianist. He loved
piano.
Yeah.
You mentioned I watched your gatherings, and you mentioned he was a very people person. So
Right.
can you tell us something more about your son?
Yes, of course. So Alon loves music. From the age of 9, he started playing the piano, and from that, he went and didn't stop. Wherever he went, wherever he got to, every time he saw a piano, he started to play. But Alon it's not just music that is part of him, but Alon, he's a very people person. He has so many friends, and he's really, he's a good friend in the fact that his friends always say that he's the one that makes sure that everybody's okay, and he's the one that everyone who comes to, that in their group for friends, he's the one that keeps everybody going, and if they're down, he's the one that picks them up and does fun things with them. And when he was actually, there's many people calling me that I have never met, and that Alon met through his traveling. When he was traveling in Asia, he made like different people all over the world, and also Israelis and Serbians, whatever. And they called me and they wrote me on WhatsApp and Facebook, whatever, and they said that that they met him for a moment, for one day or maybe a week, and they really remember how he wanted to help them with the trip. There's one friend that called and said that she met him for only a week, and she was really sick. She had like a stomach flu, and he didn't leave her side, and he only knew her for like a minute. And then he stayed with her till she was okay, and then he continued with his trip. So he's really a people person, and he loves cars. Alon is like in a car thing. He reads about everything about cars. He loves, when he was like around 1.5 years old, before he was really talking, he used to like jump around the cars, and when he saw the signs of the car, he used to say the name of the car just because of the signs. So he reads about the new car that comes out, what's good about it, what's not, what to buy. Our whole family and his friends and many people know that he really knows about cars, so they always talk to him and ask him what car to buy, what's best. So yeah, he loves that. He loves a lot of things, and I think that he has a life to live. And we have to remember one thing, what happened on the 7th of October is a humanitarian issue, okay? Because he is an innocent civilian. He wasn't in any fight with anybody. He went there to a peace festival. Nova is a peace festival with many, and he was taken, not just him, many of the hostages were taken from their homes. They were taken from the Israeli land. They weren't like somewhere else. So when the Hamas came in and started to take people and massacre them, actually massacring them is something that is a humanitarian issue. We have to bring all the hostages back because it's humanity. We have to be united, as in the world to help do that. It's not just an Israeli problem. It's a worldwide problem. Yes, it did happen in Israel, but in any case, it could have happened in any other place in the world, because we are talking about a terrorist organization. It is not Palestine. It is Hamas is a terrorist organization. They are, and when you're talking about and trying to get in some kind of an agreement with a terrorist an organization, it's not easy. You have to understand, none of the families, none of us know anything about our kids or about our mother or about our husbands or about any of the hostages, if they're okay, if they're getting medicine, if they're getting any any kind of treatment, or
This is
if they're
exactly
getting food.
What I wanted to ask, do you have any information about his medical condition?
No, not at all. Not just me. Most of the families don't, because Hamas doesn't give that information to anybody. So my son is 185 days today. Okay, this is a half a year has passed, and I don't know anything about him. I don't think he has food. I don't know when he has food. I don't know if he's got sunlight, if he's got a bath, if he could move, if he's always sitting for the past half year. I have none. I don't know anything, because the Red Cross have not gotten to see them, the hostages. The medicine that we are giving to Utra, whatever to give the hostages have not gotten to them. So people need to understand, there is not a discussion, or there's not some kind of treaty or some kind with this organization. Okay, and we have to do a lot. We have to do, everyone that's listening and hearing me, I want you to know that anyone can do something. It's either talk about it, make sure that they're not forgotten, that your government, wherever you are, make sure that your government is doing something, either is helping in the negotiations with talking to Qatar or talking to Egypt and helping this go over with. If it's just, being there and like with me, for me, it's a lot about energy and giving, you know, good things in this world and helping others and thinking about Alon and all the other hostages. His yellow piano is about that. When I was sitting at home and I was thinking, what can I do for people to get to Alon? What can I do for people to understand what's going on? So I thought about this piano. And on the piano, it says, Alon, you're not alone. You're not alone because we are with you. A person who comes and plays for the piano for Alon, for all the other hostages, we're with you because I think about you when I'm playing. And this energy, because music is part of Alon, so obviously if somebody is playing for him, intended for him, you will get to him in some way. And the fact that you are not alone is that we are not alone. So you, as a person, you are not alone in this world. You cannot put your head inside the sand and not listen and not hear what's going on around you. You have to wake up and see what's going on. If you're going to a party, or you're going to the park, and you're going to sit down and you're going to eat your food, and then you're going to leave everything there, you're not seeing the person who's going to come after you. So we are not alone in this world, and each one of us are not alone. So we have to get out from our skin and see what's going on and help others. I really believe that. I believe that, the first thing we did when Alon was kidnapped, we said to the world, okay, next time you do something for somebody else, you're helping somebody else, think about one of the hostages. Think about Alon. So when you're giving, you're making your mother coffee just because you want to, and you're doing goodness in this world, think about a hostage, because this energy, this thing gets to them and it helps you cope, and it helps you feel that you're doing goodness, because such evil and such terrible things have happened. We have to do something against that. And doing something against that is doing good in this world.
How do you cope with this? I mean, you're very, very strong woman, because it's not easy to talk about your son while he's kidnapped. How do you cope? Do you have any help? Do you have help from his friends, parents of his friends, other parents and other families from the kidnapped? You are organized somehow, but what are your ways of helping each other?
I do have a community. We live in Israel, in the north, and I have a good community with me. I have family. I have Alon's friends. Alon's friends come for me for comfort. They comfort me, but I mostly comfort everybody else. That's something that I do. I don't mean to do it, but it just happens. As a mother, I think all mothers can understand that if something happens to our son or daughter and we need to help them, we're like lions. It's like, don't get, we're doing everything we can. It's like that. I have like this lioness inside of me that I have no control over, and I'm doing everything. And I think for me, it's giving hope to the people around me. For me, it's doing what I can in a good, in a very helpful way to others, and that helps me cope. When I go to bed at night, I do think of Alon every night, and I think about him every morning. When I go at night, I think about what the day have passed and what did I do more to make sure that he comes back home. You have to understand something, that I have me, Idit, and I think all the other families, I do not have control over what's going on with Alon. I have no control of when he's getting to eat, what he's getting to eat, if he's getting to eat, when he'll be coming back home, what will happen. But I have control over what home, what house he will come back to. Okay, I have control over that. So when I'm thinking about that, I'm doing everything in my power to make sure that when Alon comes back, he will be back to a good, healthy, strong home. Home of my house, I'm living right in my house. And a home, I mean, if I can, to this country. But what I can control, I cannot control many things, but I can control that. I can control the house that he lives in, that he came from, and I can make sure that this house is strong. And that's what I'm doing. So I'm making sure that his friends are with him and that they are strong. So when he comes back, they will be able to help him. I make sure that, that he has whatever he'll need when he comes back. Even if his music, I went to see the music school that he wants to go to, and I made sure that they will know who he is, and that if he comes back and he decides that he wants to continue and in school for music, in the Ramon School of Music, if he wants to learn there, that the doors will be open for him. And I did many things like that, making sure that when he comes back, there will be something to come back to, because that is very important, that he will know in his heart that we want him back, that we love him. And yes, I'm not always this in with energy. Sometimes I feel bad, like yesterday or 2 days ago when it was Sunday and we had the half a year. I was very sad, and at night the thing I told Alon was that I'm sorry that it's still half a year and I haven't brought you home. It's very hard to think about that and understand that I haven't been able to do that. It's heartbreaking for a mother or for any person that I cannot, actually bring him back home. And he's like what? Nothing. It's very close to me physically,
So
it's
close
not
and yet
far.
so far.
It's not far, but I cannot get to him, and I haven't heard from him or spoke to him in so many days.
Miss Ohel, Alon was traveling a lot. When was his last visit on the Balkans in Serbia?
He was supposed to come to the Balkan on the 20th of October with his grandfather and with his brother to see the family. We have family in Belgrade. And he had the tickets and he was supposed to be there, but obviously he was taken on the 7th of October. He hasn't been there. We have family there, but my parents go there all the time. But I haven't taken my kids because they were small and it was too much of a, to go travel so far. So they mostly came to us. I was there just 3 weeks ago, I think. I was in Belgrade with the yellow piano. It was in Novi Sad and in Belgrade and many cities there. I met the president, Vucic, and I met many people who are wonderful people who try to help in any way they can. And it was very good. It was very good and very emotional for me to be there and see where my grandfather lived all his like part of his life. Sadly, he left Novi Sad when he was 15 because of World War II. He had to flee to protect him. Many of his family were murdered in the Holocaust. But we still have family, and they are so wonderful and loving, and I know that Alon has that also, which is so important for us to know that we have that, so he knows that maybe people love him and are wanting for him to come back home.
I'm sure he knows. So how about the organization with other parents? Do you have some common demands? Like you are organized, but what are your demands except for this, the most important thing, liberating all the hostages? But do you have some specific steps that you make in order to make this possible faster?
We don't know how things work. We say that all the time. We say that bringing up bringing back the hostages is the most important thing, because this is about humanity. This is about being a community, being a nation. And until we bring them home, all the hostages, we as a nation cannot be whole, cannot be together. So as a society, to be a good and hard and very strong society, we need our citizens back home, so we can continue and rebuild this country. That's what we are saying. And but the government and the IDF has things to do that I am a citizen. I have no knowledge of what's going on and what they're doing. I believe in my heart that they are doing what they can, but it's very hard to understand because there is no communication between Israel, the government, and the Hamas. Okay, there is no communication, so it's not that they're communicating and thinking about what to do. It doesn't work that way. We need, the American government. We need any government that would willing to help and be part of this, and that have connections with the Arab world, specific, Egypt and Qatar, to help with that. That's what I know.
How do you think that the regular citizens around the world, what they can do to help? Because it's up to the governments and maybe the bigger countries to include themselves into these negotiations and try to help. But when it comes to the citizens who are watching all of this throughout their TV screens, what each and every one of us can do in order to end this suffering much faster?
Firstly is to be our voice, to be my voice, to be our voice and say what's going on and help. You have to say it to the world. The citizens need to understand that what happened at the 7th of October and the horrific, terrifying, terrible act that happened, knowing that, because there's many TV talking about Palestinian and what Israel is doing to Palestine. But it's very important for us, for me as a mother, to know that my son did nothing wrong, that the hostages did nothing wrong. And we have to remember that Israel went into this world because Hamas came into our land and took our citizens, murdered our citizens from their homes. And we're doing everything that we can to bring them back home. Part of it is getting inside in a war zone. You have to understand, Hamas doesn't care about his people. They put Palestinian people in front of the IDF, in front of everybody, making sure that they're killing their own people. So I'm thinking people need to understand that, and understand that we just want our son. I just want my son back. We just want our families, our loved ones back home that did nothing wrong. So people should understand that this is a humanitarian situation. And what they also can do is advocate for us, and also for me, like as a mother, and tell my story, but also try, if they can, I don't know, and somehow talk about, how can I say it, and write about it in Facebook, Instagram, about our situation, my point of view, my son's point of view, the hostages' point of view. So it will be up there in the media, so people will know about this. Okay, so this is something you can do. And if you have relations or connections with Israel, try to find out more. Try to, And if you have connections with the government, your government that you're living, talk to them about it. Make sure that they're trying to do something about it. Because as I say, today it's in Israel, in the future it could be in somewhere else. You know, this is the worst thing that ever happened in the world, in the Western world. I say Western world, okay, because the world is very big. In the Western world ever. I don't think something like that has happened, that people were taken from their home and killed, and so many hostages were taken for such a long time ever. So for everybody, it's new, and we have to, it's. I understand why you're saying. I understand it, but I think just remembering that this is what's happening, and talking about it is, and putting it out there and doing good in this world. You know, for me, if they can go in to the bring them home, and see what's going on in the in the media, what we are saying, things, and go inside this, and say, and write about it, and continue, how do I say, do a liking or anything about that. That's good, because that's our media today, is Facebook and Instagram and everything. So if you can do that, is also good. But
So
for me,
yes.
but for me, you can invite me, invite the Alon's yellow piano. It will come, and we can do something about that, also to make sure that people know about what's going on. But also, I think just when you're doing something to somebody, next time you're doing something good to somebody else, think about the hostages and how they need somebody to do something good up for them and bring them home.
Ms. Ohel, I have to ask you something, because some of the hostages were liberated. So did you met those people who were liberated? Did they tell you anything about the conditions inside, how they treated them? Did they give them food and medicines? Any insight from the inside?
They came out, and they tell a lot of things. You can hear about that if you want. Many things, very bad things. No, they did not get any medicine. No, they almost didn't get any food. Just a little small pita with some. No, they didn't. They had no conditions, minimal humanitarian conditions, not at all. They were waiting for many days, 54, I think, days before they were before they were taken out, and they were there were many nutrition for their body were missed after 54 days. So think about a half a year, 185 days. So all of the people that are there, elderly, and even Alon's age, are in very bad conditions. They have skin problems, probably because of no light for half a year. Many things. Even the air, because some of them are in the tunnel, so they don't have enough air to breathe. So that also is very, very bad. So the conditions are worse than, and and many women that are there were talked about being raped every day. Raped every day. Okay, some of the women that came back talk about rape. So it's very hard. The
And
conditions are
did
very
any
hard.
of
Them met alone in captivity.
Because the people who came back mostly were women, okay, and children. And when the Hamas firstly, they took them from many places, okay, from many places in the Gaza Strip. So Alon was taken with many men, and they were put together. He was kidnapped with three others. So I don't know where he is. I don't know with who he is, but they didn't see him. And people who were taken from their homes, from Nirim, or from Be'eri, or whatever they were taking and were put together, because they were mostly families. Some were, with father, mother, and kids together. So they were together. But Alon, no. So I don't know anything about that.
Miss Ohel, thank you very much for this interview. If there is anything else you want to say or to share with Balkan audience, please do.
I just want you to remember and know that this is not easy. And for me, a mother trying to fight every day for my son, my beautiful son, to come home is really hard. And time is running up. Time is running out for all the hostages. And I wish that you will pray for us and do everything you can. Can be and know what's going on and be part of it. And if you want to really know, there's always you can always, go into, you can, bring them home and see what, what we're doing, the families, to bring our sons and daughters and fathers home. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Please stay strong as you are. We all hope that this will be end very soon and all the hostages will come back home safe and sane. Thank you very much. And once again, I really, really appreciate you talking to me and having this strength to talk with journalists and tell your story and the story about your son. Thank you very much. Надежен пианист, друштвен човек и љубител на автомобили. Така семејството го опишува младиот Алон, кој веќе 6 месеци се наоѓа во заложништво под земја во Газа. Оваа судбина не е својствена само за оваа мајка, туку има уште околу 100 семејства кои се уште не знаат каде се нивните деца, ниту пак дали повторно ќе ги видат живи. Не само деца, туку и роднини, бидејќи помеѓу киднапираните од страна на Хамас има луѓе на сите возрастни граници, од мали деца па се до повозрастни луѓе. За крај сакам да ја завршам оваа емисија и со уште едно потсетување дека она што се случува во Израел и во Газа е навистина една тешка хуманитарна криза, една голема хуманитарна катастрофа, додека семејствата на недолжните цивили, на недолжно киднапираните си ги бараат назад своите најмили, во исто време патат и цивилите од Газа кои се секојдневно мета на бомбардирање. Да не заборавиме дека тоа и не е за жал единствената војна, туку се уште е активна и војната во Украина, која никако не смееме да ја заборавиме со оглед на фактот дека секојдневно е цел и мета на руските напади и не поминува ниту еден ден без да се бројат жртвите од тие напади. Ви благодарам за вниманието со кое не следевте. Лавиринт ќе продолжи да се занимава со овие тешки теми и тоа се со една цел, за да допринесеме колку е можно повеќе да се развие едно поголемо ниво на разбирање и ваквите војни и насилни настани никогаш повеќе да не ни се повторуваат. Но за почеток да се погрижиме и овие активни војни да завршат.